Hey y'all! Pokemon Red using only Flareon got a bit hairy, so this time I'm going to use one of the best first generation Pokemon. I'm going to beat Pokemon Red using only one, and I'm sure no one saw this coming, Jolteon! As usual, the rules are we can only use one Jolteon in battle, and I can't use any items in battle. By the way, if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and check out more of these videos on my channel. Jolteon is an electric Pokemon known for being one of the first set of evolutions, and it's also considered by those in the know to be one of the best Pokemon in the first generation. Its high speed not only lets it move first, almost always, but it has a whopping 25% critical hit chance thanks to how base speed is used to calculate the critical hit probability in this game. Plus, electric type coverage is pretty good in this game, and Jolteon has a pretty good special stat, so it strikes first and hits hard. Well, the attack, defense, and HP aren't really all that great, but then again, who cares? We're here to deal damage and then dip. As for the move pool, Jolteon actually has a pretty limited one, its best moves being the few electric type attacks that it receives. I imagine we're going to struggle a little bit against Brock, but after that, I expect great things from this prickly photovoltaic phenomenon. Will Jolteon stack up to all the hype? Well, there's only one way to find out. Alright, let's do this. Off at Professor Oak's lab, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Squirtle with Jolteon so that our rival will pick Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is a grass and poison type Pokemon, meaning it resists electric moves, whereas Charizard and Blastoise will both be weak to electric moves. This makes Bulbasaur the hardest starter for Jolteon to face, except for some reason inexplicably even to myself, I messed it up and chose Bulbasaur instead. Oh well, I'm not going to start over, so let's just go with it. Jolteon is an electric type Pokemon with one heck of a reputation for being absolutely amazing, so let's hope it doesn't crumble. Thunder Pressure? Nicknames are fun. Like Vaporeon and Flareon, Jolteon actually starts off with a complete moveset. And that doesn't happen very often, so it's cool that all three got the chance to do so. And after the rival Bubs challenges us to a battle, we immediately get to see Jolteon in action. Thundershock may be a weak move, but it does almost half to Charmander right off the bat. Meanwhile, that lil lizard is just scratching for piddly old damage. So, there's no reason yet to feel nervous about facing the rival. Or as I like to call it, getting Bubba Flies in your stomach. On the way to Pewter City, I made sure to defeat every trainer inside of Viridian Forest along the way to get as much experience as possible, and for good reason. Brock's rocks are both immune to our Thundershock thanks to their ground typing, so instead we've got to fight them with Quick Attack. That's not good though, because they resist normal moves with their rock typing. So my best chance at victory is to spam Sand Attack to lower their accuracy so that we take less attacks, which in turn lets us land more attacks. At level 11 though, it doesn't really help all that much. I just can't get past even the Geodude thanks to the fact that when it isn't using Tackle, it's raising its own defense using Defense Curl. And if only we could use that move to raise our defense, then we'd be curl as a cucumber? So we've got to grind. I'm heading back to the Weedle Woods to bash some bugs in the hopes of magnifying our magnetic magnitude. And I plan to challenge Brock at every damage rounding interval of levels until we win. This happens for every level where the number ends in 0, 3, 5, or 8, so once we hit level 13, we'll get a little extra damage thanks to the way that the damage equation rounds the calculation. Also, and I cannot stress this enough, heck Pikachu! Raichu is way cooler. Even if Lieutenant Surge's Raichu did lose to Ash's Pikachu, but that was just a bad day. Chalk it up to Performouse anxiety. Alright, so I'm back to the Brock at the Pewter City Gym, and this time we're at level 13. I really can't wait to be done with this whole process, but this is definitely not the worst Brock encounter I've had to deal with. Looking at you, Execute. But I still want to go fast. Vroom vroom zip zap and all that. Instead, I'm sitting here slinging sand into the eyes of a sentient stone. That was a weird sentence. What even is this game? At least we have a super high critical hit chance, so relatively frequently, we'll get a critical hit and do a nice little chunk of damage. Even without the critical hits, the 2 extra levels and the damage rounding up is doing noticeably more damage. This time around, we not only finally make it to the Onix, but we have significantly more HP left to fight with. I have used an awful lot of Quick Attack and Sand Attack PP though, so I've got to watch out for that. Whenever Onix uses the move Bide, which will deal to Jolteon twice the damage Onix takes over a 2 to 3 turn period, I use Sand Attack instead of attacking directly. This not only lowers Onix's accuracy so it misses more tackles, but Bide will end without us dealing that double damage. And this means anytime Brock uses Bide, we've got to stall for time. And naturally, this makes the battle take, forever. So long, in fact, that we run out of Sand Attacks, and I have to switch to using the ineffective Thunder Shock to stall out Bide turns. What's crazy too is that doing this saved time against Brock instead of leveling up, because I beat him on the first attempt at level 13. But it sure doesn't feel like I'm saving time when the pace of the battle is slower than a glacier that's 1/4 tortoise on its mother's side, twice removed. Okay, I can feel myself starting to get a little stressed out. Just need to relax. After all, we've only just started the challenge, and Brock's already got us biting our nails. After traversing Mount Moon, I make it to Cerulean City to take on the gym leader Misty, the water-type gym leader. So, it should surprise absolutely nobody that we completely pounded Misty's Starfish. Jolteon still only has Thunder Shock, and that'll change soon. Don't you worry, my precious little penguins. But even with only 40 base power, it's super effective and won a KO Staryu. Starmie, though, has way more special bulk, but it didn't get to do anything because the 2 turns it was allotted to attack were squandered over an X-Defend and being fully paralyzed. Now that we've knocked it out, there's nothing to worry about. It's the calm after the Starmie. Alright, now it's time to take on the rival Bubs just north of Cerulean City, but just south of Nugget Bridge. And I'm really glad that we have an electric move to take down the Pidgeotto before it can use Sand Attack like it normally does, because it actually survives Thunder Shock. So it gets to hit us twice thanks to Quick Attack, and our defense is so frail that we actually take a big chunk of our health, but no Sand Attack. After that though, the rest of Bubs' Pokemon go down pretty easily. It might be a little bit more difficult if we were facing the Bulbasaur instead of the Charmander, but whatever. Honestly, the worst part of this battle is usually the Pidgeotto Sand Attack anyways. But thankfully, we never gave it the chance to ruffle our feathers. And with Bubs beaten, we now have to head to Vermilion City to hop aboard the SS Anne to take on the rival Bubs. Again! And, well, it's basically the same battle, except his Pokemon are slightly stronger. Hey, we've upgraded our Jolteon as well, though. On the boat, I bagged the TM for Body Slam, which I taught to Jolteon immediately. Because it's an 85 base power normal move, and while our attack stat is much lower than our special, Body Slam still does a decent amount of damage. So, it's pretty situational as to whether or not the weaker Thunder Shock will do more damage than Body Slam. It depends upon the opposing Pokemon's type and stat distribution. But there's no need to stress out over numbers and junk. Otherwise, you'll end up vomiting like the ship's captain. You could say his stomach was tied up in knots. Now that we can use Cut outside of battle, it's time to take on Lieutenant Surge at the Vermilion City Gym. The battle itself isn't difficult at all, but it is an important battle nonetheless. More on that later. For now, bear witness to one of the reasons Jolteon is such a good Pokemon in this game. Jolteon clicks 4 moves during this battle, and 2 of them land a critical hit. Now, remember, with probability, 25% doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to crit 25% of the time. Instead, it means each instance has a 25% chance to critical hit that time. A small distinction, but an important one nonetheless. Yeah, people, it's not all just dad jokes and horrible puns. Your boy knows math and junk. But don't quiz me. I always got nervous before tests and had to run straight to the toilet. Or as I like to call it, examination digestion? After crawling through the darkened rock tunnel, I arrive in Lavender Town to take on the rival Bubs in the Pokemon Tower. Hey, remember how I said more on that later during the Thunder Badge fight? Well, that's because beating Lieutenant Surge grants us access to the TM for Thunderbolt. I teach it to Jolteon, just like that, and then, right away, this thing becomes an absolute menace. Bubs' Pokemon really don't stand a chance, and I know I messed up the choice in starter, but quite frankly, it really doesn't matter. No version of Bubs' team is going to stop the onslaught of Thunderbolteon. Yeah, that's right. I just combined two words for no reason. I don't know. I just needed something fun to say. You know how it goes. Any portmanteau in a storm. We've beaten Bubs, and now it's time to take on the Grass-type gym leader Erica in the Celadon City Gym. I'm kind of worried that this one's going to be tough because Victory Bell has Sleep Powder, and plus Grass-types resist Electric. I head into the battle, and Victory Bell poisons us instead, and now we can't be put to sleep. Alright. Not that it matters though, because we get a full paralysis with Body Slam. Tangela has bad special, so I attack it with Thunderbolt anyways, and even get a critical hit. Hashtag easy mode, hashtag spoon-fed. Vileplume also gets paralyzed by Body Slam, and Petal Dance isn't doing much to us. To add insult to injury, we get a full paralysis, and Jolteon lands another critical hit. I'm glad Jolteon was able to beat Erica's shrubs so simply. Oh, poor thing. Always seems a little on hedge. After beating Erica, I head to the game corner to take on Giovanni and the Team Rocket hideout. Once again, we're dealing with two Rock and Ground type Pokemon that are immune to Thunderbolt. But once again, it doesn't seem to matter. Body Slam might be resisted, but that's in name only, because we keep landing critical hits which ignore type resistances. Kangaskhan is just a normal type, so we can one-hit KO with Thunderbolt, and you know, with two ground types, Giovanni probably should have won this battle, but Jolteon stayed calm and robbed him of any chance of victory. Or as I like to call it, nerves of steel? Now it's time to take on Koga at the Fuchsia City Gym. Not that Jolteon needs it, but Koga's Soul Badge is the one that gives a boost to your speed. Apparently it also boosts the speed of this battle because Jolteon rips through Koga's team without ever taking a single hit. Through a combination of misses and random X attacks that make little to no sense, Jolteon thunderbolts its way to victory. And I don't even have to heal up at a Pokemon Center after the battle. Just goes to show that when you're able to stay calm, all is well that Zen's well. After beating Koga, I head to Saffron City for yet another rival battle with Bubs, this time in the Sylph Company building. At this point in the challenge, Bubs' Pokemon are all fully evolved except for the Execute, and ironically it's the hardest Pokemon to deal with because it resists our electric type moves. That's right, Execute's the most difficult to deal with even when you factor in the starter, and that's right, Bubs' Charmeleon is now a Charizard. This actually makes it easier to knock out though because it's gained the Flying type. And that's right, it's a Fire and Flying type, not a Dragon, even though it seems like it should be. Like, why would they give this thing all of the characteristics of a dragon, but then not make it a dragon? Talk about Game Freak being a real tranquilities. After beating Bubs, I've got to battle Giovanni. And despite how badly we beat him before, I still expected this one to be a little harder. Not sure why exactly, but I ended up being completely wrong anyways, and stomped his beans on the very first try. Thunderbolt vaporizes his first two Pokemon, and Double Kick gets the double crit on his Horny Rye. The Nidoqueen gets paralyzed by Body Slam, we even get a full paralysis, and Jolteon doesn't mind getting hit by a few Poison Stings. Would have been way worser if this thing had Earthquake, but then again, that would require Giovanni to actually be a good trainer. It's not like the TM for Earthquake is exactly one floor below this idiot or anything, and he could just go down there and get it. But then again, maybe he's suffering from stage fright, because I guess he just can't take the stairs. I should probably go beat Blaine next to get the Volcano Badge to boost our special, but since I'm already in town, I head next door to take a crack at Sabrina at the Psychic Gym. Her Pokemon all have decent to great special stats, so I decide to use Body Slam to prey upon their weaker physical defenses. I'm not sure if it would have been better to just attack with Thunderbolt, since their special stats are higher, but ours is pretty good. And yeah, their defenses are lower, but so is our attack stat. I don't really know, and it doesn't really matter. We win regardless, and that's what matters. Probably should have just stuck to our guns, but then again, you know what they say, that grass always looks greener on the other side. So thank you, Sabrina. You have reminded me to focus on what's important and be appreciative. Or as I like to call it, practicing Mr. Mindfulness. Now there's nothing left to do but surf down to Cinnabar Island and take on the Fire-type gym leader, and his name is Blaine. We're almost level 44, which is an important level for Jolteon. Obviously, we're zipping and zapping through Blaine's Pokemon, nobody expected otherwise, but halfway through the battle, we level up and learn Agility. Speaking of zipping and zapping, obviously we're faster than every other Pokemon that we see naturally, but this lets us badge boost our stats, and yeah, For those that don't know, every time your stats are modified in this game, by yourself or your opponent, the game reapplies the boost given by the gym badges. Using Agility will do this, or Blaine's Pokemon using Tail Whip to lower our defense will badge boost all of our other stats as well. That is, except for Special, of course, which won't be able to badge boost until we get the Volcano badge for beating Blaine, which happens right now. Alright, Jolteon, you handled that one pretty well. And we've beaten Blaine, so now there's no need to get hot under the collar. Otherwise, I'll have to give you a passive fire. Okay, I'm done. Now it's time for the final showdown with Giovanni for our final gym badge. Jolteon now has the unfortunate task of trying to beat almost a full team of Pokemon without the ability to use Thunderbolt. It's not like it's our best move or anything, but I digress. Against the Rhyhorn, I use 3 Agility to badge boost our attack stat, which turns our Double Kick into a 2-hit KO against the Horny Hippo, and I'm pretty sure the badge boost turned Body Slam into a 1-hit KO against the Dugga Trio. Body Slam is a 3-hit KO against the Nidoqueen, and thankfully it doesn't Body Slam us back, although I don't know if I'd mind. And then we level up before the Nidoking. This removes our badge boost, and so our Body Slams are doing less damage, but these Thrashes are hitting like a dump truck. Thinking of you again, Nidoqueen. We knock it out with only 3 HP left, and once the Rhydon comes out, it's all over. Giovanni may be an idiot, but technically he has Smart AI, which will always use his Ground-type move against our Electric-type because he thinks it's super effective. And that would be smart if that move wasn't Fissure, which always fails if the user is slower than the target in this game. Really smart stuff there, Giovanni. Did you somehow miss all of the agilities that we used, my dude? As if we weren't already faster, but thank goodness that despite leveling up and losing our badge boost, we were able to keep our composure and win. Because we were level-headed. Before we can take on the Elite Four, we have to battle the rival Bubs once again. And Jolteon has turned a typically terrible battle into a trivial affair. Pidgeot has as good a chance at surviving Thunderbolt as my body has at being ready by beach season, and the Rhyhorn actually gives us extra badge boost by lowering our defense via Tail Whip. Then again, that also means that we'll take more damage from physical attacks, but that only matters if Jolteon actually gives the opponent a chance to attack. And thus far, our prickly protagonist is not offering such mercies. Execute slips us a little poison powder, which sounds illegal, but I'd rather that than being paralyzed. Alakazam barely survives a body slam, but then Bubs goes for a cheater's potion rather than actually attacking us. So, I guess that's what you get. We do level up right before the Charizard, which resets our additional badge boost, but who needs those when you get a critical hit anyways? And remember, critical hits do ignore badge boosts, for the record. But since we're usually only setting up 3, I don't really mind ignoring them because a critical hit actually does more damage. Also, I know there's at least one person out there that is annoyed that I didn't let Jolteon learn Pin Missile for the Alakazam and the Exeggutor, but I mean, come on. Jolteon's already on pins and needles. Alright, it's time to take on the Elite Four, but first, here are the stats and moves. Jolteon's level 48, which is somehow even lower than when we got here with Vaporeon, and that's after we had to get extra levels for Brock. Even at this lower level, would you just look at that special and speed? And considering I once did a challenge in this game with a friggin' Tangela, that is a sight for sore eyes. As for the moves, it's the same old song and dance, which truly doesn't bother me, nor does it surprise me. In competitive Gen 1 battles, Jolteon is basically a Thunderbolt using crit machine that occasionally Thunder Waves things, so I can't say I expected anything different. In fact, I was so confident that I didn't even use any money to buy vitamins, and instead spent all of our remaining cash on coins to get the TM for Substitute from the Game Corner. Because, I mean, I don't know, why not? I didn't teach it to Jolteon, so you might think it was a complete waste, but then again, Jolteon and I earned that cash fair and square, so let's just relax. After all, it's not up to you what we do with our money. First up is Lorelei with a team of Ice-type Pokemon, but they're also mostly Water types as well, so I'm down to clown. Where this battle was kind of rough for Vaporeon and really tough for Flareon, it's an absolute breeze for Jolteon. I mean, seriously, what can her Pokemon even do to me? Dugong takes 2 hits and is gone. Cloyster packs its bags and says bon cloyage, and Slowbro better slow its roll if it thinks it's gonna get the chance to do anything in this battle. And even the Jinx critical hits an Ice Punch. But that's okay, because it goes down on the next hit after body slamming us with Body Slam. No big deal, because last up is the Lapras, which is weak to Thunderbolt, but it survives and knocks us out. Huh. I did not see that one coming. Guess that's what I get for speaking too soon. I might have jinxed it. Okay, let's try this one more time. This time, Jinx does absolutely nothing. And it looks like Thunderbolt was a damage range on the Lapras after all, because it goes down in a single hit. Ha ha! Not so tough now, are you? You blubbering excuse for a tugboat. We sunk Lorelei's battleship, and now she's a nervous shipwreck. With Lorelei defeated, it's time to take on Bruno. Now, I could very easily blow through this battle by teaching Mimic to Jolteon and copying Onix's Harden, and also using Agilities, at which point I'd have maximum defense and would have 9 additional badge boosts, and then our special would be so high that not even Bruno's Machamp could survive our massive Thunderbolts. But that's not what I did here. Instead, for some reason, I decided to be cute and only use Agility, which does help boost our offenses a little, but it's not quite strong enough to prevent us from getting knocked out by the Machamp. So, it's with a heavy heart that I now admit that Jolteon lost to Bruno. There was no need for that. You could say that we machoked. It only takes one more try to actually win this battle, but still, that is really embarrassing. Ah, great. Just great. Now Jolteon and I are both super stressed out, and we've got the jitters. As if we don't already have enough to worry about. Without Bruno having us machamping at the bit. Whatever. Now it's time for the Elite Four member Agatha, and since I'm never going to live down losing to Bruno, I better beat this battered old bag of bones. Okay, check this out, y'all. We actually got the best luck against this old bird. Her lead Gengar confuses us, sure, but we consistently break through to land our attacks. Golbat removes our badge boost with Haze, but since we just leveled up, we can go for Agilities and not worry about losing any other badge boosts from leveling up during the battle a second time. As long as Golbat doesn't get the chance to haze us again, which it doesn't because it switches out for Haunter, that lets us badge boost and knock it out, and then the Golbat comes back and it gets knocked out, which is great. Then the Arbok screeches us for an additional badge boost, and the final Gengar gets paralyzed by Thunderbolt, only to then be fully paralyzed for 2 turns and get knocked out without contributing anything to the battle. I should probably go out and buy a lottery ticket or something. Man! Ultimately, Jolteon crushed her spirits. Meanwhile, I don't have a scare in the world. Next up is the final Elite Four member, Lance the Dragon Master, and he might honestly be the easiest of the Elite Four members for Jolteon to defeat. I mean, it's not like he couldn't have done something to us, he just wouldn't do something to us. Gyarados goes down in a single hit, yeah, no duh, and we set up Agilities against Lance's Dragonair, which doesn't use Hyper Beam, you know, its strongest move, and instead, they use the much less potent Dragon Rage and the inaccurate Slam. Once those 2 bozos go down, the Aerodactyl gets chicken fried by Thunderbolt, and then it's all down to the Dragonite. This thing also has Hyper Beam and Slam, and can even survive 2 Thunderbolts, and we're at low enough health that a Hyper Beam would knock us out, but it just goes for Barrier a bunch, and like, that's bananas. Lance really screwed the pooch at the end there. I mean, I don't know, maybe he panicked. He should try installing a Calmness app for meditation. Or as I like to call it, a simmer download. Finally, it's time to take on the champion, our rival Bubs. If this battle goes anything like the last 2, then they might as well start polishing our Hall of Fame trophy now. And yes, I know there's not an actual trophy, but they could like do some digital scrubbing at least. Kind of like what I do to my browser's search history. Well, Pidgeot is a foregone conclusion, since it's been 1-hit KO'd after doing absolutely nothing for the past I don't even know how many battles. And the Alakazam, however, decides it wants to do a little HP square dance, as it uses Recover to do-si-do its health bar back and forth for several turns before finally getting knocked out. Rhydon actually does the most damage to us in this battle, since we try to get badge boosts against it, even giving us some extra badge boosts when it lowers our defense, Although, those defense drops are the reason we lose so much health in the first place, so it's a give and take. Gyarados goes down in a single hit, but we barely made it past the Exeggutor with next to no HP, and that's not even considering the part where Hypnosis could have put us to sleep. On top of that, we level up right before the Charizard, and without any extra badge boost to special, we barely miss the KO on the fire-breathing behemoth, and it finishes us off with Fire Spin. That's a bummer. We held it together for so long and came so close to the end, only to burn out. Alright, so on the next try of this battle, I make one major change. I don't level up or anything, but if you remember during the footage from the last battle, I decided to not teach Jolteon Thunder when it leveled up. This time, however, I did, and it's going to give me the extra power I need to 1-hit KO the Charizard. Why not use the TM for Thunder I have in my items bag to enter the battle with the move already in tow? Well, Thunderbolt is strong enough to deal with the Pidgeot and Alakazam already, and it's 100% accurate, unlike Thunder, which is only 70% accurate. Once again, we get ripped apart by the Rhydon, which is unfortunate, but at least we make up for it by getting the full paralysis on the Exeggutor twice in a row. And now, the moment of truth. But the truth hurts because Gyarados dodges a Thunder. But then, the truth will set you free because we dodge a Hydro Pump. Finally, it's the Charizard, and you already know we had to do it to him. It goes down in a single hit, winning us the battle at only level 55. And in the end, the Exeggutor really didn't do much, despite the fact that I've been worried about it since all the way back in Lavender Town. Well, I guess I've spent the entire challenge just, walking on eggshells. And with that, the challenge is over. Jolteon was a ridiculously good Pokemon, although kind of frail, which bit us in the butt a couple times. The limited move pool was also not always great to work with. Did it feel good to never have a great move for ground types? No, but we won anyways. Did Jolteon have the flawless run that everybody was expecting, nay demanding? No, but it was still really great despite a couple of resets. Overall, was there any real reason to panic? No sirreen. As always, I want to thank you all for making it to the end of this video. These videos are a lot of fun, but also a lot of work, so I really do appreciate it. There's a playlist on my channel where you can check out the rest of my Pokemon Challenge videos if you want to do that as well. And if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you'll know right away the next time one of these episodes is uploaded. And if you want access to all my past challenge videos, ad-free, consider becoming a member or by joining on Patreon. And let me know in the comments what other Pokemon you want to see, and I might do it. Next time, I'll be trying to beat Pokemon Red using only one Articuno. Alright, until next time,